Stacey Wilkes, Mississippi House of Representatives, District 108, Pearl River County, Vice Chair of House Constitution Committee. Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How
Good
are you,
to have
Paul?
you. Thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thank y'all for having me.
You don't go in till what? 2 o'clock this afternoon?
Yes, sir.
2 o'clock this afternoon. How's it been so far at the start?
So far, so good. It's actually been a little busier than I thought it would be starting out, but lots of meetings today and different things going on, trying to get all of our bills requested. Today is the last day to request a bill to be drafted, so kind of a busy day today.
I've heard that from several, that it started off more organized and everything else than people. They thought it was going to be kind of lackadaisical, but it's been anything but such, which I guess as far as taxpayers are concerned,
That's a great thing.
That's good news.
That's right.
So many different things to talk about, but on your plate now, what are you working on?
The biggest thing that I'm working on this year is a bill that we passed last year, and it just had some unintended consequences, and that was the bill that we passed about licensing contractors and subcontractors. And I have a lot of plumbers and electricians in my area who are going to be out of work because a lot of them have been plumbing or doing electrical work for, 30, 40, 50 years, and now they have to be licensed. Some of them don't read very well and can't pass a test, so that puts them out of work and takes their livelihood away.
Geez. When did we find out that was a snafu?
It was last year after it passed. We started hearing from a bunch of people, and so they kind of extended the deadline, trying to work through some timeline things. But it's just something that I don't think that was the intention of the bill, but I think it was just unintended consequences. And so I've had a lot of constituents reach out to me on that issue. So that's one of the things that I'm working on that bill. I don't have the bill number. I apologize for that, but we can get that for you.
Stacey, who does that? Who's brought into the area of concern on this one? You said plumbers, and who else?
It did two things. First part of the bill required cities and counties to require contractors to get a permit. So when they would go in to get a permit, if they didn't have a contractor's license, that identified them as not having the license. So the contractors had to go get licensed. But the second part of it was where the subcontractors had to be licensed. So if you have a plumber, say, who's 70, 80 years old now and has been plumbing since he was 15 years old, and he, can't read or doesn't take tests very well, he can't go past the contractor's test and get a license. So now he can't plumb anymore. So he's out of work.
Where is the contractor's test taken, given?
I'm not sure. I guess it's just where they normally, where they normally would go. I know they are working through some hiccups and some things on that whole process that they kind of extended it, but the whole point of it is it's someone that's been practicing and doing that trade for their whole life shouldn't have to have a license now to continue to provide for their family.
Well, yes, and you're absolutely right. They can run circles around some guy who comes in with the top of the class that's just graduated. They know a hell of a lot more than he or she would.
Absolutely, and they're training and educating a lot of the young people that are coming into the trades, and so we need them.
We add that on the list of unintended consequences?
Yes.
I got to tell you that the number one for me is worrying about what's going to happen as far as the medical marijuana as it rolls out, because there are some unintended consequences no matter, you hear from these other states, and they say basically no matter what you do, as hard as you try, you just don't cover everything.
Yeah, and I think the best thing that we can do, and like I was disappointed I voted against the bill just because I didn't believe that was the best way to for this process to work, but it's here, so we have to work with it. But the best thing we can do is just learn from others as we're going along and try to fix the mistakes and not let things get too out of hand. So, and just try to stay on top of it.
If this bill that you're talking about, you said you don't have the House number, Bill, but if this bill does go on and clear committee and pass, is it one of those things that you would recommend we do immediately, or just wait till ask the governor to go on and sign it instead of waiting for the fiscal year to begin?
I would like to see it go into to play now, but I'm good either way. I mean, even if we wait till July 1, I mean that's got a whole lot better than the situation right now. So, like I said,
from the Gulf Coast, some of the concerns from our hometowns across the Gulf Coast that you're working on.
Well, everyone just right now is kind of concerned about the economy. Of course, the prices, inflation, and everything. So we had some discussions and still having discussions about eliminating or the state income tax. So, which I would still like to see, or I would at least like to see our car tax cut in half and grocery tax reduced, because I think our grocery tax is one of the highest in the nation. So.
Yes, yeah, and it was a good but aggravating conversation with Democrat David Blunt yesterday, Senator Blunt, and he was talking about he doesn't want to raise taxes, but he would like to raise taxes on cigarettes and vaping. That's fine, but if you took $1 billion, and we have a $4 billion surplus in this state, and that surplus has been continuing year after year after year, and it doesn't all have to do with one-time money. Our economy has been pretty good even now with the Biden recession. And if you look at that and you say, okay, can we take a little bit of that and give it back? Are we taking too much?
Absolutely.
Are we taking too much from the taxpayers in the state? We shouldn't take that much. Let them keep some of their money.
Let them keep
From
their
his
money and
point of
decide
view
what
was
they
this.
want to do
Yes.
with it.
His point of view was, no, let's go on and use it for other things. And one of the things he said was that we have people with bad infrastructure across the state. Well, the way I look at that is there are many of us out there that don't have bad infrastructure. You're never going to have a perfect system. Roads always need to be paved and repaved. But there are a lot of municipalities out there that are doing the normal progress. They certainly need to update. They're working through the federal government with this. And if we give $600 million to the city of Jackson and more, and take some of that $1 billion that we could have given as taxes back and give them to the municipalities that have been complacent in this, then that's taxing the people that have not, and the municipalities have not. Am I right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I think the way I look at it is I think we all need to be fiscally responsible. And I think if you take the money that you have, that your taxpayers are paying, and you put it in things that give you a good return on investment, that bring in industry and bring in things, that pays for the roads and the other things that you need to have done.
We've seen that so much with the money's coming in from lottery, the money's coming in from other sources, even back to the point of taxing. And I remember those arguments on taxing internet sales. But all of that goes into the state coffers. And if you wonder where some of that plus is coming from, the surplus is coming from, we can't forget some of the moves that the Republicans have made over the years that have bolstered that and shored it up with $4 million now the surplus.
Exactly. Good policy.
What are your thoughts as far as, you did mention this, and I think a lot of people are talking about the can we do this and do the tax cut on groceries? I think that's a lot better than a rebate itself on a one-time check.
Oh, absolutely. It's something that every taxpayer can feel in their pocketbook, and there's you have so many people on fixed incomes and so many people with young, families and things, and they're really struggling right now. I know there's a lot of stuff. I go to the grocery store, and some items have really increased a lot more than others, and I just put it down and was like, this isn't worth what they're
crazy.
asking for.
Yeah,
and it is. Yeah. And some of these people are really struggling to provide for their families with groceries. So I think this is something you can actually feel in your household money, in your wallet every day, versus just getting a check one time and you go spend it and it's gone.
Do you believe, and by the way, we're talking to Stacey Wilkes. Stacey is a House of Representatives, District 108, Pearl River County. She's also Vice Chair of House Constitution Committee. Stacey, do you also think that there's a manner to do this that doesn't hold the municipalities at vulnerable as far as just find a way to get this done?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. With all the money that we have on hand, there's a way to make them whole so that they have their money, because otherwise they're going to raise their taxes and charge it back to the taxpayers, and we haven't done anything.
I want to get you're on the Constitution Committee, and I also want to talk about, we talked to you yesterday a little bit about this with David Blunt, the initiative process when we come back. Can we do that? But on the initiative process, that's not coming out of your committee, or is it?
I'm not sure yet. We were speaking of that yesterday. I'm not sure if the bill, the ones have been assigned what committees that they're going to yet, but it's been talked about, the initiative process coming up and the different things that go along with that. So
you've dropped 4 bills here. One was HB 278, video surveillance. Video surveillance cameras required to be installed in classrooms and certain other areas of public schools and post-secondary educational institutions. I think it's a good idea. If we could do these in daycare centers and things like that, it would be, but I'm almost positive that you're going to get some negative feedback.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and I knew that. But I mean, you know, the taxpayers pay for the schools, so
Yes.
I mean, it's public dollars that are being used, and I think it helps with a lot of things. It helps with discipline, it helps with students, it helps with safety, it just helps with a lot of factors going on. So I think
I
it's
would
a
think
great
that's
idea.
probably the last place administration wants a video camera, but it's probably one of the first places we should have it. It would be
Absolutely.
good for the parent to just at any particular time go in and see what's happening in the classroom. I'm not sure that will ever happen, but I think it's a good idea, and kudos to you for at least kicking it up to where it could be.
Well, thank
The
you.
other one's HB 302, Forming Open and Robust University Minds. It's something called Forum, Forum, the act. What is that about?
This is the free speech on college campuses, that bill that I file every year, and we just continually hear, you know, about students that are the conservative students are afraid to speak out on stuff or have to write a report aimed at one way because of the liberal professors. But the bill deals more with the groups on campus and just providing free speech to everyone, not just a certain political party.
Yeah. Are you worried, anybody else move from the college level back to K through 12, are you worried or have you had any constituents been concerned about CRT or gender modification in some of the schools being taught?
Yeah, we're hearing a lot of CRT that's taught in schools and a lot of things that that are being done, and it's happening. People may not want to realize it, but it is happening and it's here, and that needs to be stopped. There's a lot of curriculum actually that several of us were looking at over the summer and stuff that's being taught in the honors courses through online courses and things, and it's just subliminal messages to our students, you know, and it's which I get that there's a lot of material there and hard to comb through what all was there, but there has to be a way that we can do that and watch what is being taught to our kids.
We do contracts. The different schools, and again, Stacey Wilkes is my guest. She's a House representative from District of 108 Pearl River County. Stacey, they do contracts with these companies that do this. Is there any way in the contracts, and I guess this is up to the local school boards in each district, but it should be that if that is found in any of this curriculum, then your contract is automatically canceled. But that has nothing to do, the state can't do that, can they?
I'm not really sure about that, Paul, but that's a great idea because something needs to happen. I mean, our kids are just being indoctrinated, and we're supposed to be teaching, you know, reading, writing, arithmetic, these things in school, and we're not supposed to be indoctrinating our kids and having the conversations and the things in these books, in these textbooks that are there.
We really need the
parents'
teachers, to be honest with you, and I know they're in class now or getting ready for class, but we really need the teachers out there and the administrators of these schools, principals and superintendents to keep us aware of this. Number one, and I'm hoping this is the trend in Mississippi as it is elsewhere, the parents are getting more involved in their kids' education.
It seems to me they are. I'm hearing from more parents now than ever, and more parents seem to be concerned. So I think for a long time people just wanted to deny it wasn't there or think it was something like, you know, every now and then. But it's not. It's everyday indoctrination in these textbooks and things that are coming out. And I don't think it's not our local people, not at all, but these people that are putting this literature together and stuff. And then, you know, we purchase it and it comes to our kids. So
yeah. Some of it
it's
is
a real
blatant.
problem. Oh, absolutely.
I don't think it's as blatant as it is in other states, but some of it is rather almost in inferences, and some of them are snuck in on questions, math questions, and English questions, and it's crazy. And just because it's there, then it gives that teacher a chance to elaborate for the entire class if she wants to.
Exactly, and there's no need in those kind of statements and questions and stuff that are in the English or the math. There's no need for that.
A couple of more bills before we run out of time here. HB 303, electric vehicle tax exempt lower speed vehicles. What's that about?
That is about, we have a lot of, I think last year, the year before, we passed the law where golf carts were legal on streets, and then your municipalities could come in and put their own zoning and things, but that it basically allowed for all golf carts. So there's a lot of families in different areas too that have the golf carts, and they'll have them allowed in downtown areas. And so you're seeing more families and stuff using them in towns and neighborhoods and things. And so, but these are taxed, and so I've gotten some complaints and some calls on that. So I just thought that that would be a great something to give back to the taxpayers and not tax the low, because it's bigger than a golf cart. It's not your traditional little golf cart you see on the golf course. It has your, 4 seats and has your seat belts and stuff.
Yeah, if you want to see how untraditional it is, look at the price tag on it.
Exactly. So anyway, that was just a little something to give back to our families and let them have a family activity without being taxed on the on those.
And the biggest one, Stacey, is this one, HB 304, mattresses require seller to give notice when previously owned. I love that one.
Look, I file it every year, and it's only like a $50 charge to businesses. But you think about it, and when you go buy a new mattress and you take it home, and they'll let you keep it, and they'll say you can try it for 30 days, 60 days, or whatever. If you don't like it, bring it back and trade it for something else. So when you take it back, they put them in, I'm not saying everyone, but there are certain vendors and places that do this.
They
rewrap it like it's new, and they sell it for, half price, but they don't put on there that it's used. So, it doesn't cost but a couple of dollars to have a yellow tag over there that says used, and just so people can be aware, and they may purchase it anyway. It's probably been cleaned and sanitized, but you should have a right to know if you're sleeping on someone else's bed. So
this does not have anything to do with one you find out of on I-55 that's been there for a couple of days.
No.
Well, of course, you can put a sticker on that if you want to. Anything else that we need to mention here? Because there are other issues out there. We're talking about the postpartum issue in the House of Representatives. Is that going to further itself a little bit more this year? We're going to talk about that one. Medicaid expansion. All of these things are going to probably start bubbling up as the session gets some gray hairs on it.
Yeah, there's a lot of that coming up, but I think there's when we looked at the numbers, and the speaker and I had a conversation back over the summer on the postpartum thing, and there's only a very small percentage of women who are really left out when you look at all the different programs and all the different ways that are not being helped. And so I think there's other ways to get women, the few women that are left out of the help zone, to get them help without expanded Medicaid. So.
Stacey, we thank you so very, very much. And if there's anything else, please let us know, and we'll get you back on.
Sounds good. Thanks for inviting me.
You got it. Representative Stacey Wilkes, House of Representatives, Pearl River County, District 108, Vice Chair of House Constitution.